back to another episode of the Screen Addicts podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Steven the Boob Tube Sosa.
And as always, I'm your other co-host, Chris TV. This is my time to shine, Vegas.
Shine like the star you were meant to be, TV Vegas.
That's right.
He says that, ladies and gentlemen, because we are going to be ranking our top 10 TV series of 2023. Yes, we keep pushing off the movies list because there's so many to catch up on.
Man. Especially
And I think
with Oscar nominations coming out, we have got to make sure we watch all the ones nominated for Best Picture, because you can't have a list without watching that list, right?
Right. I absolutely agree. And sometimes, like when the nominations come out, like they did this morning, it's always one that you think, oh, did I see that one? Oh, no, I got to watch that one now. That could potentially be on my top 10 list. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But as far as the TV series, I figured we could do that. That seems like it's a little bit easier because you watch a TV series and it takes a little bit longer of a time. So it's easier to narrow down what it is that you watch, especially for you. Like this is in your wheelhouse. So I think that
and the Emmys were last week, so we already know who wins.
It all works. Yeah.
So.
And I forgot about the Emmys, man. I didn't even watch them. I completely forgot that they happened. And I started watching all of the like on the Twitter feed, the Emmys page, like they were posting the basically recaps of all the presenters and the winners and stuff. So I was like, man, this is kind of nice to watch it like this. Like you don't have to wait for the next presenter. You don't have to listen to any kind of stupid jokes from the hosts or anything like that.
From a shitty host.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who was the host of the Emmys. I don't think it was anybody.
I don't think it was one specific person.
It probably wasn't, and I know it wasn't Joe Coy. That's for sure. But so before we get into that, we're gonna do our typical recently watched segment. So, Chris, what have you recently watched?
Oh man, not a huge list. Going into this week, I did watch all 2 seasons of The Flight Attendant, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I really liked the first season. The first season was really good. And then the second season kind of fell off. It doesn't get really good until the last 3 episodes. So me and Tasha watched that one actually together. She liked that one too. So that was good. I was on it. So I have to admit. So the last time we recorded, it was either off recording or during recording. I don't remember. We were looking something up on Prime, and you saw like a Kaylee Cuoco movie,
right?
And you just kind of mentioned it. And after we recorded, I went to watch something on Prime, and I saw it. What is that movie? What was it called?
Role play.
Yeah. And so then I watched that movie as well. I watched Role Play. And then I just got on the Kaylee Cuoco.
I bet you did.
and so, one Role Play was okay. It was decent.
Yeah.
Not her best work. I think her best work is in Flight Attendant. She actually shows some really good range in this series, especially the second season, because she kind of plays multiple versions of herself, different variations of her personality and stuff like that. So she definitely showed off a range that you don't normally get from her, because she's mainly comedy stuff, you know? It's hard to follow up a Big Bang with anything else.
Sure.
Just like any other big name sitcom actor or actress, you see them in that certain role, and then that's all they get casted in most of the time, you know? And
you know what's crazy about that? I'm sorry. She's really the only one that's been working post Big Bang. Like maybe I'm just overlooking that cast or something, but I never see Galecki in anything. I never see Jim Parsons in anything. And you would think that they would have. I mean, I guess when you play a part so significantly, it's really difficult for you to move past it and go on to something else because people will reject it. And I guess, like, again, I didn't watch the show, so I don't have much basis for this
Mm.
analyzation, but Penny doesn't seem like a role that, I mean, yeah, it's important to the show, but it doesn't seem like one that's so tied that she could do other things and it won't be like, oh, she's stuck as Penny. Because I think
Right.
like the Friends cast, especially the women, like they weren't all so significant to, like, I can see Jennifer Aniston in a bunch of other roles. Like I don't just see her as Rachel Green or
Right.
Courtney Cox as Monica Geller. I can see them in other things. The guys don't have that same kind of luck. I mean, I think that it's been unfortunate for them, but as far as that, and like I heard the flight attendant was critically acclaimed, and I thought
Yeah.
she was really good in it. It's funny. I suggested it to you, and I think that's what I do. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, role play. I think you would like that. It's almost like a trick because I did that to a friend of mine, that Meet Cute that came out with her and Pete
Yeah. Yeah.
Davidson, which is on Peacock. I was like, oh yeah, you like that, Pete Davidson, you should watch that Meet Cute. I heard it was good. And basically what it is, it's like I'm setting people up to test them out for me because I'm like, if it really sucks, then maybe I shouldn't watch it. But I'm almost scared to do it myself. But yeah, and like I said, like role play, you said it wasn't that great.
It
And
wasn't great. I mean, it's an action comedy movie. Really quick watch actually, and
yeah.
it's I don't know. It's one spy comedy. You see one, you've seen them all type of deal. She
Hmm.
doesn't bring anything else different to the role or anything like
Right.
that. But it's an okay movie if you
Did
got
you,
nothing else to do.
that reminded me of that movie that came out last year, and I still didn't see it, but it was the Anna de Armas, Chris Evans one, Ghosted, on Apple. And
Yes.
I think it's similar to that. Like she's a
Hmm.
spy and he's kind of like a regular everyday Joe, even though he's freaking Captain America. Yeah, I see Chris Evans as like an
Yeah.
everyday type of blue collar guy. But
Hmm.
and I guess they engage in this relationship and she gets him caught up in all the stuff that she's got going on. And I didn't know if it was similar to that kind of storyline. But they're
A
married,
little
right?
bit. Yeah, they're married and they
Oh,
have
okay, yeah, yeah.
kids, and
Oh,
so it's
oh
like I
my
said, it's
god. It's like the reverse Family Plan, that movie with Mark Wahlberg that just came out where he's a spy and his family all of a sudden realizes that he's a spy, and he's like, that's on Apple too. And yeah, like I think it's the Family Plan. I think it's Michelle Monaghan that's his wife in that. And
mm,
everybody's like, "Oh my god, our square of a dad who is Mark Wahlberg, who doesn't look like a regular type of dad, and but he's a spy. Oh, this is crazy. That's really weird that the plot similarities are so tight, but
yeah.
I don't know.
But it's okay if you have nothing else to do and you want something to watch with Kaylee Cuoco in it. Go ahead.
Mhm.
Um,
Sounds good.
and then we caught up on Percy Jackson.
Oh, right.
Me and the little one.
Hmm.
It's pretty good. It's nothing story wise. It's nothing new
Sure.
from the movies. I mean, they're keeping pretty close to the vest on storyline from the books. It is. I mean, it's a little different, but nothing spectacular. Um,
Hmm.
I like it. It's a good show to watch with the kids for sure. And then, I watched The Brothers Soon on Netflix.
Oh, with Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh,
Yeah.
loved that one.
Hmm.
Eh, that one goes. The storyline is about a family that's tied into the triad, and just there's a power struggle within the triad. And, one son is kind of a geek, a dork,
Hmm.
not really a triad member,
The
as you would
triad
say.
material.
Yeah, and the other brother is he is ultimate weapon,
Hmm.
and so it's funny. It has its funny parts, and there's really good action in it.
Hmm.
Um, and then Michelle Yeoh, she's freaking amazing. So,
Dude,
yeah.
she used to kick so much ass back in those old Jackie Chan movies, man. I think people have really forgot what she's capable of doing. And I mean, I know she's older now, but she did
Oh,
her own
she's
stunts too.
fast. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like man, she's so good with the physical stuff, man.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
So
That's a show or a movie?
it's a limited series, miniseries. There's 8 episodes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I should check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a quick watch too, so
Hmm.
you'll blow past it. And then I also started something that I didn't want to, but I did because of a friend of mine. Not you, another friend.
Oh.
But I started Disney's Echo.
Oh, okay.
I got in like the recommendation from a friend of mine. She is Native American,
Oh, right.
and she started watching it and, on her social medias. She just went on and raved about how awesome it is that they're shining a light on the Native American past and people
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, for her, I'll give this a watch. And it's actually not bad, man. I
Yeah.
can't believe we're gonna say that about a Marvel property, but this is actually a pretty decent series. I'm only 2-3 episodes in,
Hmm.
but I dig it so far. Not too bad.
When Hawkeye came out, I thought this is gonna be the lamest show of all of them. And dude, it turned out to be really good. I was like, damn, this is a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. And I don't know if it was just all the parties involved. Haley Steinfeld was great in it, and
Yeah,
as Kate Bishop, and I thought, man, this was actually really good. And it kind of taught me a lesson to not judge something so quickly, even
right.
though Marvel's kind of on a downward spiral right now. But it's good that Echo was pretty successful to a lot of people. And Daredevil Born Again, that trailer, the teaser's dropping soon, and that's really interesting to see how that's going to work from the Netflix version, because it's the same.
Yeah.
Charlie Cox is playing Matt Murdock again, and
Hmm.
so it'll be interesting what they do to transition into that show. But so you would recommend Echo?
So far, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's to me, it's not like your typical Marvel stuff.
sure.
It's a little bit darker,
Okay.
which leaning towards DC-ish, you know.
Hmm.
So I'll like it a lot better for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, definitely give it a watch if you're into a little bit darker stuff. But it's also good storyline. So,
sounds good.
but I think that's all I have. If I remember anything else, I'll interrupt you. It's fine.
Yeah, just lob them in there. So Sonia and we started that Netflix drama series, docu series, Wrestlers on Netflix, and you know me, man, I love pro wrestling. Always have, always will. Going to the Royal Rumba. It's the
Rumba.
dance. It's the
Oh, you're going
dance
to
version.
it's
It's
ballroom dancing. You and
couples
Richard are
dancing,
going to
dancing with the stars. No, the Royal Rumble. And man, I'm like trying to talk all tough about pro wrestling, and I'm like the Roomba.
Rumba.
But the we're going to the Royal Rumble this Saturday, and I'm really excited about it, and Connor's excited. And so anything with pro wrestling, I'm really into, like that Tales from the Territories, and then the Dark Side of the Ring. There's been a lot of really good docu series about wrestling, and it's taking it into a real serious context. And there's one on Apple Plus that I'm going to start. It's called Monster Factory, and that's what they call this particular gym, training pro wrestlers and stuff. Well, Wrestlers is a docu series. Like, do you remember Al Snow, the guy that carried that mannequin head, and
Oh
he
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
always like, what does everybody want? Head. That was like his whole gimmick. Well, apparently he's the guy that runs this promotion, Ohio Valley Wrestling, and it's an independent promotion, and they're basically just trying to get on their feet about the show. And it talks about the wrestlers. Like, the wrestlers are always so colorful in terms of character on stage and off. Like, you always have to be a bit eccentric to want to be a pro wrestler. They even talk about it in the series. It's like you got to be a little crazy to be a pro wrestler. You have to create characters, you put your body on a line from a physical standpoint, and it's just a really great behind the scenes look at how an independent promotion, their struggles, their strengths, their success, this minor success, of course, but just everything that they do to put that show together. It's just such a good docu series, and I know it's good because Sonya doesn't care about wrestling, but she was like locked into this, and
Wow.
so that's how I know it was really good. Because if she liked it, I mean, she'll watch some wrestling stuff with me and Connor, but she's not like tuning in to Monday Night Raw every week or anything like that.
Hey,
But
let me ask you, what do you think about the switch to Netflix and wrestling?
yeah, so you saw that announcement, I guess, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess
I
Monday
I
Night
guess I should
Raw.
have saved it for headlines, but
I
I mean,
mean,
we're talking about wrestling.
but it applies. It's always interesting because there's always been this dynamic where, um, they talked about streaming services are going to be the ones that will have exclusive rights to show WWE shows. And I know AEW, which is another promotion, they were trying to get like Warner Brothers and HBO Max to stream their shows exclusively because they're all owned by the same company, TNT and TBS. They're all under the Warner Brothers banner, and so that's not really worked out yet. But yeah, that announcement and the price tag for that, man, is going to be
Ooh,
what, $500 million
I
for.
heard billion.
Oh, really? I mean, I thought it was
Yeah.
just for Monday Night Raw. So if they incorporate SmackDown and all their other properties like NXT, yeah, it very well could cross the $1 billion threshold because Netflix, that's the one streaming service that's always been behind. They've started
Yeah.
making some pretty good moves as far as acquiring other properties. Like the whole DC thing that they did was super surprising. But then when you think about some of their financial struggles, I guess it's not because you're like, okay, well, they're really, I mean, I think they shot themselves in the foot whenever they were real. It's almost like they were a bit cocky and overly confident in the fact that they thought their original properties,
Mhm.
like whether it was their shows or their movies, were going to be more ingrained in pop culture than they are. And dude, sometimes like I don't even think about some movies that I've seen from Netflix. Like I'll watch a lot of their stuff, but after I watch it, that's it. I won't ever watch it ever again. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, that was a good movie," but it doesn't have like any kind of repeat value for me. And I think with a merger like that, they're really trying to push forward into cable territory. And dude, I still have my cable. I don't even know why. I need to get rid of it. I need to go to like YouTube TV or something like that. But man, we should get YouTube TV to sponsor the Screen Addicts podcast. Then we won't have to pay for shit.
There
But
we go.
and so
Netflix will do it.
yeah, with this Netflix, we will have extreme exclusive streaming rights to Netflix. We're a little bit cheaper than $500 million, but not by much.
No.
I'm not going to lower our price tag. I have ethics. But yeah, as far as that, it's pretty crazy. That's huge news. And if it happens, it's a big deal for Netflix because there's still a lot of people that watch wrestling, and man, the fan
Mhm.
base has grown massively over the last couple of years, and they're selling out stadiums because usually WrestleMania would be the only show that they could get and put in a stadium. Now a
Mhm.
lot of their shows are being put in football stadiums and soccer stadiums across the world, and it's blown up so big.
What do you
But
think that why? Like, I know, okay, so I was into wrestling a little bit in high school, and I watched
sure.
some stuff with you and everything, and I know you've stayed a consistent fan,
Hmm.
and our other friend Richard kind of has too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But why this big resurgence? Like, is there new blood that's really that good?
Well, I think a lot of it is that Vince McMahon's not there anymore. Like
Oh,
they ousted him from the company, and Endeavor, when we talked about how Endeavor acquired WWE, now they're owned by UFC owns, or Endeavor also owns UFC. So there's this kind of synergy going on there where they reworked out a lot of the people that run the show, and Triple H is now like the top dog over in
wow.
WWE. And Triple H is an old school guy, so he understood a lot of how to book characters, how to make stories interesting, and he also has been really good in developing new stars. Whereas Vince, man, he was so old and so dated and couldn't see like an indie wrestler that people loved. To him, he would see like, no, he's too small, and like, or he would nitpick and never give him the right push. I'm like, you've got stars here, and I think that's another
Mm,
thing is like now it's more about the WWE brand. Like that's the star. I think that there are a couple of stars, but there's nothing like a Stone Cold or The Rock where there's one super popular famous one. I think a lot of people are more into the brand, and I can't really explain it. It's really weird how this resurgence happened. I'm glad it did because then we get more of it. But
yeah,
I
and
don't know. We
bigger
could
shows and stuff around you. I mean,
Right. Like for example, Backlash, the February show is going to be in Paris. Like, what? Paris? Like, that's crazy. Yeah, it used to be in some kind of Joe Blow um, arena in like Kentucky before. Now they're in like international markets and stuff. Um, but yeah, anyway, so yeah,
That's,
Wrestlers, Netflix, it's good. Um, True Detective, North Country came on. That came back.
that's
And
good.
we watched the first episode, really good. We didn't watch the second because Sonya's out of town. I was like, well, I'm not going to watch it twice, so I'll wait for it. But yeah, I'm glad that's back. That first episode was really good. Set the standard there. A couple movies that I watched. One was The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. You know what?
Saw
It
your review on that.
right. And if you like it, you'll like yeah, I mean, if you like any of his other stuff, you'll like The Beekeeper. It's not it's not changing anything there. Next Goal Wins, which is Taika Waititi's newest film, where Michael Fassbender comes in to coach the American Samoa World Cup team. And man, it's funny how their goal wasn't to win games. Their goal was to score one goal. Like that was their only because their team was so bad that
Oh,
they got beat by another team by like 31-0. Like it was just
like the Bad
pitiful.
News
So
Bears.
yeah, exactly. But he comes in, Michael Fassbender, he coaches him up, and it was really good. It was a little cute little film like that. They cloned Tyrone. Now this is a Netflix movie, an original,
Yeah.
and I had seen that and I said, oh, I was kind of playing roulette. Like that's what I'll do. I'll fire up streaming service. I'm like, okay, Netflix. So then I'll go to my list and I'll like close my eyes and just kind of move the cursor around or whatever, and whatever it
Mm-hmm.
lands on, I'll watch it. So I was like, oh yeah, they cloned Tyrone, the Jamie Foxx and John Boyega movie, and I was like, I heard it was good, so I watched it. Dude, I was 100% in that movie. It was so good, and
Yeah.
it did this like how we talked about hybrid movies before. Like this is definitely a hybrid movie. It's like a throwback to like blaxploitation, but it's also science fiction. So it's like a weird mix
Mm.
of how the man, and the man's trying to get you down. And it's just like how they create these artificial things to deal with mind control, and how they're trying to like destroy the black community and stuff. It was actually really good, and I really enjoyed that movie. Watched a movie yesterday with our good buddy Shay, an avid listener of the show. We went to I said a murder mystery, a Monday movie mystery.
And did
And
you
so,
watch a movie, or did you just like watch a trailer? Apparently.
well, apparently, dude, I was pissed. So, okay, so we show up, 7 o'clock is when it starts. We're there early. And then you don't know what the movie is until they play it. Like it comes on, the credits roll. Sometimes people are like, well, I've never even heard of this, so that's cool. And they were 40 minutes late showing the movie, for starters. And then they come in there and they're like, oh, well, Theater 7 or whatever, it's playing the same movie. You can go in there and watch it if you want to. And we're like, well, hasn't it already started? Didn't it start at 7? So why would we go into a movie 40 minutes later than and it's already started? Like that's stupid. So
Mm-hmm.
we waited, they put the projector on, and then 20 minutes into the movie, it was a movie called Land of Bad, which is a horrible title, and it stars Russell Crowe, Liam Hemsworth, Ricky Whittle from American Gods, and Milo Ventimiglia. And basically it's some special ops military movie, and I really couldn't tell you what else happens after like 15 minutes because the projector completely shut down. So we're like,
Oh
oh
my
my god.
gosh.
And so I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom, I come back, and they turn on the house lights. So I'm like, oh, well, that's the death nail right there. Like, they're not
Mm-hmm.
showing this movie. So it turns out they gave us a voucher to see something else. But Land of Bad, man, I'd never even heard of that. I mean,
Is
it
it
had
bad?
a legit cast. So far, it was okay. I thought it was fine. But yeah, and then and then that happened. But then I watched one. I got a screener from Harpoon Productions, and they worked out with Saban Films, who produce like Power Rangers and stuff. And they had a new movie called Cult Killer that they wanted me to review for my TikTok page, and it was actually not bad. I was talking about how we've had some previous screeners in the
Oh,
past,
some doozies.
and my god, I was like, what are we going to do about this movie? Like this movie's terrible. Not Cult Killer, but like some of the previous ones. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is awful. Like, what are we going to do? Like, I want to be objective about it. I want to have some kind of, I don't want to seem like a shill and just like saying good shit about the movie. Like you have to have some level of reputability. And
Right.
but Cult Killer was actually pretty good. I was like, oh, thank God. It's like, I'm like, thank you. It's not bad. And um, Antonio Banderas, Alice Eve, they're private investigators searching for a serial killer. And you know who the serial killer was played by? Shelley Hennig from Obliterated.
Ooh,
I was like, how was she not marketed on this movie? Like she wasn't in the poster. Her name isn't barely even in the credits, and she's the
wow.
main villain. And dude, Shelley Hennig, anything she wants to do, I'm all for it. But I'm gonna. What do you got? Do you got a note or?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. So okay, so my final one is the a film that was nominated for Best Picture, and that is one that has eluded me, and I figured it was going to fall in my top 10 of movies, and I'm pretty sure that it will. And that
Yeah.
would be Poor Things with Emma Stone and
Mm-hmm.
director Yorgos Lanthimos,
Lanthimos.
my dude. And oh man, I already loved Yorgos Lanthimos, but then when he thanked Bruce Springsteen at the Golden Globes, I
Oh,
was like,
just
dude, this
sealed the
guy
deal for you.
this guy is my dude. Like this is my guy. And so I watched Poor Things, his newest film, and oh my god, man, this movie is just balls to the wall insane. It's just such a different original movie. I know it's adapted from a book, but then you watch it, even the
Mhm.
book, like the story, it's just man, the where you have to go to create this thing. It's so bizarre and so weird, and I absolutely loved it. Emma Stone, like I thought, I mean, she's amazing in this movie. She's better in this movie than I've ever seen her in anything else before. And
Wow.
it's such a weird ass movie, and I loved every single second of it. And it definitely one that this is definitely like I would need a Chris cam, like a Chris window
Would
to watch
watch
you
it.
watch it. And that
Oh,
reminds me, have you still not seen
man,
Saltburn?
no, just scared. Okay,
Oh my god, don't be scared, Chris. And man, that movie got no love from the Academy Awards, which
none whatsoever.
I thought,
You know
Emerald
why? Because
Fennell.
it probably sucks.
No, no, no. I mean, Emerald Fennell, who her Promising Young Woman got nominated for a lot of Oscars when it came out. So I thought, well, she's got some clout with the Academy, but man, it got completely shut out. But Poor Things didn't. And then I'm watching it, I'm like, yeah, the way that it looks, the production design, the costumes, the characters, it's just everything about it was just
Man,
top
and
notch.
speaking of like, I've only seen like I haven't watched a trailer of it because when I watch it, I want to be like completely
Hmm.
surprised, like no
Yeah.
spoilers to it whatsoever.
Hmm.
And so the only thing I've seen about this movie is like the poster cover art, and I'm like, why is Emma Stone dressed like Alice in Wonderland?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just how that because it's almost like also the time period is just not really well established, and I think that's done on purpose. Like it
Uh,
seems like an alternate reality world, and everybody dresses like that. It's just like almost Victorian era, and big dresses, or
mhm.
not even Victorian era. That'd be more like Marie Antoinette type of dresses, and just real big collars, real big and baggy and colorful, and oh my god, dude, that movie's nasty too, Chris. Like there is I was like, how is this not NC-17? There's so many sex scenes in this movie. And I was just kind of like, I'm not a prude and I'm not like I don't blush at that stuff, but I'm like, Jesus, there's a lot of that in this
You
movie.
felt icky when you left.
Not necessarily because she's not like a euphoria aged teenager. But I mean, that's also the point of the movie is like her development from a basically like an infant to an older one. Basically, I
Uh-huh.
have to explain that she's part of an experiment that Willem Dafoe, puts the brain of a child into her body. Like she's a corpse. He reanimates it, very Frankenstein like, and then she almost has to grow up over the years, like from an infant to a grown woman, and just the progression of that and how she does that is just incredible. And man, she definitely deserves that Oscar if she wins
Man.
it, man. But again, Yorgos Lanthimos, he's so good at this bizarre stuff, like The Lobster and
Hmm.
Dogtooth. Like everything that he's done before has always been stellar. I've been praising his name since we pretty much started this damn podcast, and just such a fan of his. But Yeah, I mean that's the last one that I got, man. And I actually just watched that today, so it's like really fresh in my mind. And but yeah, I guess it's on to headlines, the few that we have. First note that I had for headlines was actually dude, we never talked about Jonathan Majors like out of Marvel. Like he's done.
He's
I
done,
mean,
done,
yeah,
done,
that's it.
man.
And which is good. They're going to recast it, which is what they should have done a long time ago. I don't know why they have such a hold on actors like not being replaced. I guess that's what they're worried about as far as like inconsistency. Director Norman Jewison died this last week, and man, this guy, he's a good director. He gave Cher like her Academy Award for Moonstruck, did In the Heat of the Night with Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger back in the day, and he also directed The Hurricane with Denzel Washington. So I mean,
Mm,
guy had a good career.
yeah,
And I guess, Academy Awards were nominated, or the Academy Award nominees were mentioned this morning. I didn't even have to set an alarm. I'm so old now that I was already up before they even started. Usually I'm like, oh man, 7:30 Central Time. I've got to get up. I've got to set an alarm. No, I was up at like 6. It's embarrassing. But so I mean, did you see any snubs or anything that you thought was kind of surprising as far as the nominations go?
nothing huge. I not. Unpopular opinion, I guess you would say, is I'm surprised Barbie's getting so much love.
Really?
Yeah, I still haven't watched it, so I can't
What
say.
the hell? How can you be
Man, I don't,
surprised then?
because I'm like that that type of movie, I
Mhm.
guess, isn't anything that I would see the Academy just loving. But
Yeah.
I guess I'm wrong all the time. So there you go. Um, and then pissed me off. I told you in a text message we're gonna write and protest these Academy Awards because Peaches didn't get nominated as Best Original Song. That's bullshit, man.
Yeah. It's like a 30-second song. I guess that was like the criteria for it or something, but I was kind of bummed out about that
He
too.
even made a music video, damn it. Come on.
He did. He should that was a snub for sure. But as far as Barbie goes, I was surprised that Greta Gerwig didn't get nominated for Best Director and that Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for Best Actress. Because when you watch the movie, you'll see. I mean, it's not like a paint by numbers, like, ooh, it's a Barbie movie. It's so much more than that. And
Mhm.
again, we are talking about like the progression of like Emma Stone and Poor Things. And a friend of mine who listens to the show, she had made a comment about how shout out to my friend Lainey. She made a comment about how there's a lot of parallels between Barbie and Poor Things. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's true. Because it's like Barbie, Margot Robbie, she's like, I'm Barbie, I'm living in this world. But then when she goes into the real world, she sees that her impact as far as her dream world isn't the same. I mean, there's a lot of like character progression there, and she's like really sad, and it's almost like depressing to a point. And
Mhm.
the fact that she was able to play all of that, and I mean, also like Margot Robbie was the executive producer of that movie. She's the one that got it made, got it funded. She hand selected Greta Gerwig to be her director. Like she was all over that movie, and I think for her personally, she's probably like kind of bummed that she didn't get the nomination either because I mean she carries that movie. Ryan Gosling got it. He got a best supporting actor nom, but she's not going to. Like, yeah, he's funny, but it's like, come on, man. Like what qualifies him and not her? Like she's the one with all the emotional weight of the film and he's just being a goof. I mean, he's funny in it. He's really good. And I totally, great, but
He
that just
kissed
didn't make
again.
I mean, yeah, and that song got nominated too for,
Ah,
but I
duh.
I don't know. But as far as like the movie production value, like everything about it, it was damn near perfect. It was funny,
Yeah.
it was sad, it looked amazing. The production design is just off the charts. I thought that had the best production design until I saw Poor Things, and then Poor Things, like this world that it embodies is just it's ridiculous how good it looks. But Yeah, I think that was a big snub. And also, like Godzilla minus one, I was surprised didn't get anything but like visual effects. Which, yeah,
Mhm.
that's great that they only spent like $30 million on a movie that looked like it cost 200 and something. But oh man, you were gonna go see that, but you saw the Iron Claw instead.
Yeah,
What the
yep.
hell? Like, what did you think of that?
Iron Claw was great.
Yeah,
Kind of knew a little bit of the story of the Von Erichs
yeah,
going into it. Uh, so I was prepared emotionally for what was going to
sure,
happen.
yeah,
But if you didn't know the story and going into the movie knowing it's a true story,
yeah,
man, it's rough.
yeah. It's
I can
devastating, man.
definitely see people leaving the theaters with tears. I mean,
Yeah.
just gut wrenching, and oh gosh, great
How did
movie.
Maddox like it?
Oh, he liked it. He loved
Yeah.
it, and I used it as a parenting moment a little bit. I'm like, look, dude, that's why you don't be mean to your brother all the time. He's like, you're right.
And then he goes home and beats the shit out of
Yeah.
him. It's like it weighed on his mind for a hearty 30 seconds until he pisses him off or something. Then it's
Oh
all
yeah.
reset.
Till
But
he
no, but
gets
that
on his nerves. Yep.
dude, but even like Zac Efron, like now you know what I mean as far as his performance goes. And that's another
Crazy.
snub. That made me think of that movie because it got zero nominations for nothing. Like it just did not even exist at the Academy. And which is sad because like Zac Efron, man, he pulled in a hell of a performance
Yeah.
for that movie. And dude, like the scene at the end when he's talking about, he's like, about being brothers, being a brother. I mean, I was like, damn, that was really sad. Like that was a
Hmm.
good moment. And then I was that was a big snub for me
You know what?
personally.
You know what didn't get snubbed?
What?
Past lives.
Your movie.
A world, baby.
I mean,
Take them all.
it's like I said, I think it'll win international for sure. But dude, there's
It's
nothing's beating
not
Oppenheimer.
on the international list.
It's not?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I swear, because I looked after
Oh,
you told me
wow.
that it's not on like best international movie.
I thought it was on both because like
No.
Parasite was on international and picture,
Hmm.
and
Past
or
Lives is
was
not.
it? Wow, that's crazy.
Which is the one that stood out to me? Society of the Snow is
Oh
on
yeah,
the
yeah,
international,
that's right.
but not Past Lives. I'm like, how is it going to be nominated for best most motion picture, but not on the international list?
See, that's
Weird.
the thing, and that's something that's been kind of bothering me about the Academy Awards. And I guess there's a point to say that I always liked when domestic films were being nominated because, that's just how American audiences view it. But
Hmm.
then they've really branched out into other countries for their best pictures, like all their main categories now. So they're really
Yeah,
looking at things from a global perspective. And it's hard to watch some of those movies too. So luckily when the movies get nominated, they usually have
to
somebody's
go
putting
watch
them
them.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the theaters get to release them, or you can purchase them on like Prime to rent or something like that. But
Hmm.
yeah, I didn't realize Past Lives didn't get international. That's crazy. But dude, that's Oppenheimer's. It's gonna win it. Everything.
I know.
Like I think that's a best picture. I think that Nolan's gonna win it. Director, I just there's nothing that's gonna.
Murphy's gonna win best actor.
I'm assuming. I bet Robert De Niro or Robert Downey Jr. will win supporting. I mean, I think that's just Oppenheimer's, you know, to lose at this point, and
Mm.
I don't know. But so, do you have any other headlines or news or anything that you want to share?
No, nothing,
Okay.
nothing.
Do
Oh,
you have a
one
TV?
thing.
Oh
I
yeah.
have a TV headline-ish thing.
Okay.
Today, Tuesday, 23rd, the trailer for The Last Airbender.
Oh, it did. Right. I saw you post about that.
Dude, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It looks like, to me, now I'm glad they waited this long for it to come out because
Hmm.
now they have the technology to make it look how it looks now.
Right.
And it has like One Piece to follow up on. Like,
Right, yeah.
this is what everybody thinks anime should look like in real life now, because
Mhm.
everybody loved One Piece.
Mhm.
All right, let's go after that, something like that.
Right.
Oh, and it looks great. It
Does it
looks
look
really
as
good.
authentic as M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender?
We're just gonna scrub that from existence,
Dude,
buddy.
it's like the
Oh,
worst movie ever made. Like, I didn't give
dude.
a shit about Avatar: The Last Airbender. I didn't, but oh my god, that movie was awful. I was like, I
Oh,
can't
it's so
imagine the
bad.
fan base just losing their minds about how bad that movie is. Are they
It
calling it Avatar, the new one?
just The Last
Or
Airbender.
is it because I know that Cameron has like the copyright of
Rights to
Avatar,
Avatar. Yeah.
and apparently he had that story written in the 90s, so that's why he copyrighted it even way back then. So
Mm,
I mean, I guess if if and when he decided to make Avatar, he would have it ready to go. But
yeah.
that I remembered when the first Avatar movie came out, the Cameron one, and I thought, man, that's kind of weird to call it Avatar now, considering Avatar: The Last Airbender
Right.
had been such a popular, series for a while now. So it's like, I
Mhm.
guess now it's turned over. Like, now people still think of Avatar, James Cameron, and they think
As the
about
blue
Avatar,
people. Yeah.
right? So, but yeah, that trailer that looks really good. I think it'll be good.
That's my only headline.
So, speaking of TV that will potentially be good, let's talk
Yeah.
about TV that was actually good, that we know for a fact because we watched
Yes.
it. We spent our time watching the top 10 series. Now, we had a couple of rules that we were going to go by here. Like, one of them was the fact that we can't count a show that came out like 20 years ago and put that in our top 10. It
And
had
we
to
just
have
barely
aired.
watched this year.
Right. It had to have aired brand new episodes within the calendar year of 2023. So, for example, what was it, the one that you were watching? Oh, the one that you off the block, right?
Yeah. On my
Of
block.
the block?
On my
On
block.
on the block, right,
Yeah.
right. So I remembered you mean a couple episodes ago, you're dropping that show and talking about how good it was. And I guess it started what, 2017 or something like that?
17. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that's like me saying Frasier is a top 10 show because I was started to watching with my mom over Thanksgiving. I got really into it. So now I started binge watching old episodes of Frasier. Although I could technically say like
The
the
new
new
Frasier.
Frasier
Yeah.
because that was released in 2023, but I haven't gotten around to watching that yet. So
Yeah.
by the time I do, it'll be like 2025 and it won't even matter anyway. But we're going to rattle these off. We won't go into too much detail because this is a top 10. So when we have three,
Yeah.
we can elaborate a little bit, but with a top 10, man, we'll be here all day. So we'll just go ahead and kind of make like a couple of notes on each of our picks. So if you want to go ahead and start us off with your top 10, what do you
Cool.
have?
Yes. So my number 10, starting off strong with Yellow Jackets.
Mm,
Started this one kind of late. I think second season is what aired this past year.
right.
But man, that is a good show. Drama, mystery. It is. If you haven't seen it and you're into this like just mystery world of cults and this and that, give it a watch.
Hmm.
It's an amazing show. Christina Ricci's actually really good too.
Yeah, she's good in everything. I love her because we started it too. We're still early on in the first season though, but man, she's so weird and just crazy in
Oh,
that show.
mhm.
And she's, she's known to play crazy pretty well with like Wednesday Adams and stuff, but that was decades ago. You
Yeah,
can't even really count that anymore. But this one, her character in this is like more almost sociopathic,
yeah.
in the ways that she handles her business. But I agree. I think Yellow Jackets is that's a good starting off point because so far we really enjoy it.
Cool.
Okay,
Number
so my number 10 is actually a show that premiered its second season on Hulu, and that is the Chicano flavored This Fool. This
No, you got to
Fool,
say it right. This fool.
this fool. And I just absolutely loved that series. The second season came out and it has comedian Chris Estrada and Frankie Quiones, another comedian who plays his cousin, and they in this season they decided to open up a coffee shop, and oh my god, man, it's so funny. Michael Imperioli is absolutely hilarious in this movie or in this TV series, and I just there were a couple of other comedy series that I watched this year that I was laughing, but with this fool, it was a nonstop laugh fest for me, man. Everything that was going on, I just couldn't stop from laughing. And even if you're not Hispanic or Chicano or whatever, it's still a really good show. It's just so damn funny that it's hard to, you know, it's
Mhm.
not exclusive to one minority or anything like that. Like funny's funny, and that's why I like a lot of black comedies because funny's funny. But this fool on Hulu, highly recommend. So that's my number 10. I'll swing back around and
Okay.
do my number 9. And this is actually another comedy. I'm surprised I put two comedies back to back, but Jury Duty, which began on Freevee earlier in 2023, but then came to Amazon Prime around the summer of 2023. Jury Duty was the mockumentary series about the guy that was on this crazy case mixed in with a bunch of actors all playing jurors, and he's the only real one, almost like a Joe Schmo type of a scenario where he's a real guy put in this just crazy out of this world scenario, and the case, and James Marsden coming in there playing himself. The show was absolutely hilarious, man. It was so funny, and there's so many like moments in it that are really heartwarming too. It was an overall great show. It's quick watch. I think there's only like 8 episodes. They're only 30 minutes apiece. Jury Duty, Prime, only if you want to laugh. So, what's your number 9?
Number 9. I'm gonna go with the second season of Sweet.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, it's picked up from where season 1 left off. Really good show. You get to see a little bit more of the little animal kids, which turned
Hmm.
out so cute. Bobby is the best still.
Yeah,
Little, let's see, Beaver. I think.
I think so. Yeah.
You but I mean, you get more of a bigger villain in this one, which the guy that is the main villain kind of looks like a Jim Carrey to me.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know why, but it's good, man. I hopefully it comes back for season 3. I don't know
Yeah.
where they could go with it from here, but a lot more backstory, which was great, and some good action and very nice rounded show. So that's
You
why
know,
it's
I
my number 9.
we didn't even watch it yet. I forgot about it, and we loved the first season, so it wasn't like anything where we were against uh like the show or anything, but we'll get around to it. So, all right, so go ahead and round out your number 8.
My number 8 is a series that I've recently started, even though I think it came out a couple of years ago. But the new season aired in 2023, and it's the animation Invincible.
Oh yeah.
Oh
We were just talking about it last
we
week
were
about
just
how
talking
good that
about it
was.
last week, yeah. And it's damn good. Like I just barely watched it, and it's not even it's in the back half, but still to be on a top 10 of a whole year, and I just watched it. It's so good. Can't wait for the rest of the season 2 to come out here in a couple
March.
months. March.
Yeah.
So it's just bloody, brutal, and great.
Yeah. And speaking of bloody and brutal and great, that brings me to my number 8 pick, which is Netflix's Fall of the House of Usher, and Mike Flanagan's new miniseries, basically taking inspiration from a lot of Edgar Allan Poe stories and making this Succession type horror film or horror series. They're so cinematic. I always just
They
think that they're
are,
like
man.
movies, but that's just how they look like these days. But Fall of the House of Usher, I just absolutely loved it. It was so good. The acting was amazing, and the story, the kills, like how each character's dying, it's just so creative, Edgar Allan Poe style. And again, it's a quick watch. Carla Gugino, I thought, was robbed for an Emmy because she plays literally like 20 different parts in that
Oh,
show,
so
and all different. And I thought that that was a major robbery. I mean, I know a lot of horror series don't get a lot of love, even even on TV, but
yeah.
it was kind of crazy that that didn't get any kind of acknowledgement. But Netflix's Fall of the House of Usher. Um, my number 7 pick was actually another Prime series, and that is the Boys spinoff Gen V. Now, I was thinking, oh my god, they're gonna start doing Boys spinoffs now. Like, this is never gonna stop. It's gonna be like the new Walking Dead, where there's like
Yeah.
10 of them now. And but man, I don't know if they're gonna make any more. But I think what I read though was that this season of Gen V is gonna mold its way into the next season of The Boys, because
Oh,
you want that synergy. You want people to watch all of the property that they're producing. So
right.
it's almost like you have to watch Gen V to understand the next season of The Boys, which I had zero problem doing. It was so great. It very much fit in with The Boys. It's very
Mhm.
graphic. It's very dark in terms of story and comedy. And I highly recommend Gen V. I don't think there's only but like 8 episodes. It's just like each season of The Boys. Like, it's so
Yeah.
fast because there's only like 8 episodes, 7 or 8 episodes. But yeah, if you like The Boys, you'll love Gen V. So your number 7
All right.
pick.
My number 7, I'm sticking with animation. I'm going with Netflix's Blue-Eyed Samurai.
Oh, okay.
It's one that I, I just started on a whim. And I was like, I need a new kind of anime show to watch because One Piece is like on its 1 millionth episode. It's fine. And so I started Blue Eye Samurai. Not super high expectations, but man, this one gets into it. This one gets into it really good, and it's a good storyline. It's a quick watch,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just great, man. If you like animation, sword fighting, all that stuff, it's good. So
Sounds
definitely
good.
recommend that one. And then I'll go on to my number 6.
Yeah.
And my number 6, I'm sticking with anime-ish, but coming to real life, and we talked about it earlier, but the One Piece
Mm.
Netflix and real life series. So good. Hell, I mean, there's high expectations for this coming out. You have these One Piece loyalists. I mean, One Piece has been around forever, and it's still going.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have this huge following, and if you mess up, they're gonna let you know
Right.
easy and quick and fast, and it'll be the end of that for sure. But they did everything right. One Piece live action is just it's visually amazing. It follows the storyline really, really well, so you are already looking forward to seeing every character that you've ever watched in the anime, if you've ever watched the anime. And the next season, I think, is starting to film pretty soon. So, man, can't wait.
Connor is apprehensive to watch it because, like, with Death Note, like, he loved Death Note, but then that movie was so bad. And even I was like, oh my god, that was a bad adaptation. The Shinigami looked amazing, but
Mhm.
other than that, it was just a really bad adaptation. So I think that's kind of what he's apprehensive about starting One
Right.
Piece, is because of that situation. I was like, well, it's one time. They're still trying to figure things out, but apparently they got the right people in place to do it, because that
They
One
did,
Piece, I've
man.
heard from more than a couple of people how good that live action adaptation was.
It is, and it's funny. I there's people coming out of the woodworks that I never thought were like One Piece fans of my internet. One in particular, Jamie Lee
Yeah,
Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis is apparently a huge One Piece fan,
that's
and now
awesome.
she's looking to be casted in season 2. So if that
Damn,
happens,
she's so
oh
cool,
my
man. And
gosh,
they're
man,
like, yeah, you can be on the show if you want to. Say no more,
for sure. So
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
yeah,
But all right. So
you're number 6.
my number 6 is Netflix. Man, I have a lot. I'm trying to look at my list here. I think I had more. Well, maybe not, but I guess I had more Prime shows than anything. But it's Netflix's Beef. Like, Beef is
Yeah, buddy.
it's so good, man. Steven Yeun, Ali Wong kind of have a little fender bender in the first episode. get super pissed at each other, have intense roid rage against one another, and then that incident just becomes a linchpin, a spiral to all of the crazy shit that
Yeah.
ensues between those two characters. And the way that it ended, it made me think like that's it. Like that's a one and done. But I guess you could very much spin it off into another season. I'm not sure. They haven't made any kind of announcement that there's going to be a second season,
I
but
think it's done. Just
I
leave
think
it
so
at
too.
that. It was so good, and you wrap it up. Like you
Yeah.
wrapped it up good. So just leave it.
Well, my thought was like, okay, so we're in episode like 4 and 5, and I'm like, all right, well, what's gonna happen next? Like, what would make sense? And then they do stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, like this show's brilliant. Like, it's so good how you can just pile on the panicky drama, and it just worked.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that show, and that was actually based off of your recommendation too. And you were hyping it up, and I'm like, oh, beef. I thought it was like a cooking show, and I was like, oh, that's a comedy, right? Okay, so I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh, it looks interesting. I like Steven Yeun. Ali Wong has been good in other stuff, and then yeah, I finished that in like what 2 days. I think it was a
Yeah.
quick watch because it's just so good. Um, so my number 5 is actually from Apple TV Plus, and that is the Gary Oldman British spy series Slow Horses. Now, they work for Slough House, but everybody makes fun of them because they're all the rejects of the basically the British intelligence agency like MI6, guys and girls that have made mistakes or huge errors. So they don't want to fire them, but they send them over to Jackson Lamb, played by Gary Oldman, and he basically has like a motley crew of just goofballs that not in the sense of how their personality is, but they've just made so many mistakes that he still oversees them and they're considered the slow horses. And season 3 began last year, and it's so good. It's so funny. And then it's perfect encapsulation of what British television is all about. You can have a moment that makes you laugh your ass off, and then in the next instant you're completely shocked by something that happens, and then you're like emotionally wrapped up by it. And Slow Horses is no I mean, Slow Horses is an example of that type of programming. So that's my number 5, Slow Horses.
Well, my number 5 was your number 6. I had beef at my number
Okay.
5. My number 4, I'm gonna hold off because I know it's higher. Um, Probably it's your number 1, so I'm gonna hold off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'd rather hear your thoughts on it. I mean, because
I mean, we're gonna talk about it for
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
but
I mean, I don't think there's gonna.
I'd rather end with it.
Okay, sure, sure.
So you'll see what my number 4 is when Steven says his number 1.
Okay,
So your number 4.
I'll do my 4. Yeah, and then you can do your 3. So my number 4 is the HBO drama that was released, the adaptation of The Last of Us.
Yep.
You know, we spoke highly about it on the show. Still feel the same way about it. It's such great drama, and it's sad because I know that in season 2 it's a completely different shift. And they also mentioned in the headlines that Caitlin Dever has been cast to play the role that what's her name, Lord Ramsey. I know it's Lynn Ramsey. Why can't I think of her name? But she's playing the girl's part and as an older version of that character. And
Right.
you know, Caitlin Dever, she's so good. She's been hitting home runs like left and right. So I think that'll be interesting to see season 2. But season 1, man, Pedro Pascal just doing what he does, man. And it was a
Daddy
perfect
Pascal.
Daddy Papi Pascal. But it was, yeah. I mean, anybody who watched it, it was a pretty unanimous vote that was a great series, and it was. So,
And
but
that's why it's my number 3. So we can talk
yeah,
about it
and
a little bit more.
I was about to say, I was like, but still, that just goes to show how good the rest of our list is. If something like The Last of Us is 4 and 3, you know,
Yeah.
so yeah. And you said it was your number 3, right?
Is my number 3.
Okay.
And man, it's so in an age of binge watching, you know, this show came out weekly,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes you back to when we didn't have streaming.
Right.
You had to prepare yourself for the day of
Mm-hmm.
to watch it, and this show is so damn good that you have to sit down and watch it when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no waiting for the whole season to come out so then you can binge it. No, you have to watch it the Thursday or Friday, whatever day the new episode aired, like I'd have to stay up late so I could watch the new episode when it dropped. And
Mm-hmm.
you don't get a lot of that with shows these days. Like there's really good ones, but there's hardly any out there that you're willing to not wait to binge.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's like the water cooler shows. Your
yeah,
coworkers are watching it, and you're like, "Oh, you watch that too?" Yeah, everybody's watching it, and
yeah,
then you really have to watch it because people don't have much fillers for spoilers.
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'll say so. That's my number 3. I'm gonna rattle off my number 2,
Okay.
and number
Actually,
2.
before you do that, I gotta hit my number 3. So I'll do mine
Oh,
because
okay,
since you skipped your 4, we'll do my number 3. My
okay, go
number
ahead.
3 was the final season of Succession, and
Mm.
I, when I started that show, I was like, okay, I don't really know what to expect. It seems like corporate world. I mean, I'm always been somewhat interested in that kind of stuff, but it's modern day Game of Thrones, man. It was crazy how everybody's just looking for power, wants to be the top dog, the top CEO, this and that, and just how are you going to overtake the king? And it was such a great drama series. And the fact that Kieran Culkin won Best Actor at the Emmys was crazy because when I think about it, I was like, yeah, I guess he was really great in that show, but he wasn't like the one that I would expect to win that nomination. And
Mhm,
as Brian Cox is the lead, or even Jeremy Scott, it was crazy that he was the one that took that, but well deserved. And it won Best Drama Series at the Emmys because it really is just put together so well, and how it weaves certain episodes in together. And I just absolutely love that show. And it won't be the last of its kind, and it's certainly not the first of its kind either, but
mhm.
just the power struggle, family, business, all that stuff. It was just really, really good. But yeah, Succession's my number 3. So now you can do
Cool.
your
Now
number
I can
2.
go number 2.
Ew.
You. Uh, Not to shit on anything. This show
Well, you're really
is
sticking to those.
there you go. This show is not shit. It is
Mm-mm.
very good.
It's the
And
shit.
it is the shit. And it is the fifth, sixth season or first season of Ahsoka, fifth season of Rebels.
Yeah.
So good, man.
Mhm.
Like these Disney Star Wars shows have kind of been on the decline.
Mm.
Andor hyped it up a little bit. It came up because Andor was really good. But Ahsoka brought this thing around, and I think I'm trying to see if I only hold it this high because I really really loved Rebels, and this just was a continuation of all that.
Sure.
If this is why I'm holding it so high, or is it because the actual show was good itself? And I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka's freaking awesome.
Mhm.
There's no way you could have casted that any better. As everybody said that when she first came out in Mandalorian as Ahsoka. Like, she's just the best person for that role, and it continues. Um, and just it's so good. It's again one of those shows that came out weekly, and you have to get ready to watch it because you're not gonna wait. You're not gonna wait to binge it. And then I watched all of it weekly, and then I binged it again for the second time when it was all out. So,
Oh, nice.
um, but that's my number 2, man. So
I forgot to tell you, I was going to surprise you with this, but I finished Rebels. I ended up watching Rebels,
yes,
and it was easy. It was just like
yeah,
20 minutes, and it was really good. So now I'm ready for Ahsoka. I'll be starting that soon.
it'll be in your top 2. You'll have to
Yeah, I'll have
rearrange.
to bump something off.
You'll
I
have
don't
to
know, man. I don't think I can do
rearrange.
that to this fool. But yeah, so my number 2 pick is another
Is
movie or another.
is my number 1.
No, 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 no. Oh,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll just skip it, and we could just go to our number
No.
ones.
Yeah. It's not my number one, or it's not your number one.
No. Wow, is it really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Did you write that down? I thought I saw
Yes.
something else. Oh shit. Well, I'm not gonna stake your number one. We'll just go to our number ones now. Since
How about honorable mentions?
yeah, we can do that. So a couple of shows that I thought were good. Primo, which is another Latino fused comedy that was on Prime, which was good. The Righteous Gemstones, always solid, so crazy and funny. Silo, the Apple TV series with Rebecca Ferguson, it was pretty good. The Consultant with Christoph Waltz on Prime was really good. And I want to give a shout out to Goosebumps on Disney Plus,
Hey,
man. I
that's pretty
thought it
good.
was really good. I really wildly underestimated that show because I mean I think that's fair to do so. Like,
Oh yeah.
how were we going to think that this was going to be as good as it was? But then it turned out really, really good.
Mhm.
And I think that's all the honorable mentions that I had at the moment.
I have. Let's see. I have Shadow and Bone,
Oh yeah.
Netflix series. It's ending at season 2.
Hmm.
They were gonna do a spin-off, but they canceled that too.
Yeah,
But it was actually really good. I dug that shit.
yeah,
But and then I have the Brothers Soon, which I talked about earlier.
yeah.
Which I mean, I think that's on the borders, 23 or 24. I don't really. It's
It
close.
might be
It's on.
both. It'll still count for 23 as long as it premiered in the year. I think you'll be
Uh,
okay.
and then the last one I have is American Born Chinese
Oh, on Disney.
on Disney.
Yeah.
It's actually really good. So
I think that your number one isn't my number two. Now that I'm thinking
really,
about it, your number one is Prime series, right? Action
yeah.
Prime series. Okay, mine's not. I just remembered that that's what it was. My number two is actually Apple Plus's Ted Lasso.
Ah,
Oh my god, could you
whoa.
imagine?
No,
Like,
but this is blowing my mind. Is that my number one isn't even in your top 10?
no, no.
Bullshit.
You know,
Bullshit,
this is
man.
also before we drafted the rules here, and because it's like half of it premiered in 2023 and the other half just ended in 2024. So I was like, well, it's not fully in the year, but then we just literally were rewriting the rules as it went because I was like, well, I feel like it should all be in one year, but it didn't really matter. But no, but my number two was Ted Lasso, and um it's a perfect show. All 3 seasons. You're not going to find a better series as far as something that contains just heart, humor, and heroics. Kind of like the 3 H's for a good superhero show or movie. But it was absolutely just captivating TV. It's so funny. Jason Sudeikis, he's a completely unforgettable as Ted
Mhm.
Lasso. And this was the final season. So a lot of people are trying to make or they're coping with that. They're like, "Oh no. I think it's open for a new season." I'm like, "Stop. It's over. There's no way. It's done. Just move on.
Just let it
Make
go.
your peace with it and just let
Rewatch it. Just
right, rewatch it. Let the 3 seasons that they gave us just be content with that." And I just absolutely love Ted Lasso. Sonia hasn't seen it, so I'm gonna rewatch it with her because I can do so with no problem. You know, another honorable mention is like this is another one that applies to like the 2023-2024 rule, which is Fargo. Season 5 of Fargo came out last year and it just concluded earlier this I guess last week was the finale. And
Mhm.
that was a damn good show, man. It was like the best season of that series. So I was like, well, I don't know if I can count it in both because then it's like if we go to 2025 I can't exactly count it for 2024 either because half of it was in 2023. See, I should have really thought about that because you're right with your number one pick, which I feel like you should just go ahead and say what it is because it would make this stupid rule we just made up make more sense.
All right. My number one is probably, I'd say, the best, one of the best on TV
Hmm.
ever. And it is Amazon Prime's Reacher.
Yeah.
Dude it hits everything. Uh,
Skulls.
Skulls, blood, gore, action, love scenes, make you cry scenes, visually, it's great. Some of the music in it is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, it's just so good. It hits on all things. Cast is amazing.
Hmm.
Whenever you get Dad from Blue Mountain State and anything, it's gonna be amazing. But man, it's my number one is Reacher.
I think Reacher would fall in my top 3 if I'm looking at it like that. I'm really into that series as well.
Mhm.
It's such a great story. I like the story that they told in season 2. I liked the establishment of his team, like
Yep.
him as the investigator in the military, just kind of branching out more of his character. And I do miss a lot of the good guy hero persona he had in season 1, where he just kind of like randomly helps people and this and that. But I thought that I thought it was really good. The one thing that it did in the episode before the finale that I hate when shows do it. I just, it's such a trope and I hate it, where he's like caught center, right?
Mhm.
And this is kind of semi spoilers, but the bad guys have him point blank. He's got like 10 guns on him. 10 guns on the man. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is the James Bond trope. You're explaining your whole plot, your whole plan, and this and that. I'm like, no. As big of a problem, metaphorically and physically, as Jack Reacher has been for you, you're not sitting around waiting for him to do whatever he does. You've got 10 guns. You're plugging this dude immediately. Like I would be. I would go rogue if I was one of those like random soldiers. I'm like, no, hell no. He's gonna snap my neck if he comes anywhere near me. I don't give a shit what the boss has got planned. I'm plugging this dude with a full clip of batteries. And it's just one of those tropes that I hate because it makes no sense when you're put in a position like that. Like, I think if you're in a situation where you're like running from a lot of gunfire, fine. That one's okay, I guess. But
Mhm.
when you're there point blank, like there's a shot where there's like 10 soldiers circling him with their rifles on him. They're stop. Like I hated that. I was like, why did they do the trope that I hate the most in this show that I deemed perfect? Like that was my only gripe, because again, this monster of a man, you're not wasting time. You're putting him down immediately, because if you don't, he's going to do what he does best, and that's kill you in the most viciously way possible.
And that is what he did.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not a spoiler. It's just
No.
it was a point of fact. But again, aside from that, I love season 2. It was so good. And yeah, they renewed it for 2 more seasons easily, because it's one of Prime's, top stream shows. And
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a good pick. So, okay, closing, my number 1 favorite show, which you would think it was going to be Ted Lasso. It's not. It was actually a show that has captivated American audiences, and that is The Bear. I
Yeah.
honestly thought that nothing was going to beat Ted Lasso in terms of my favorite series of the year. And season 2 of The Bear drops, and it's a lot different than season 1, but it's a lot different in the best way possible.
Mhm.
It becomes this quirky, like independent drama where
No, it's a
the
comedy. Get it
it
right.
right. I'm so sorry. According to all the awards, it's the funniest damn show. I mean, yeah, because you watched that family scene. Was it Christmas or Thanksgiving?
Chris-
Either way, it's Christmas. Yeah,
yeah.
they're having that film. It's just the most toxic, just highly intense
Jamie Lee Curtis.
family drama. And yeah, I'm like, that was hilarious. Let me tell you, Jamie Lee Curtis. Speaking of Jamie Lee, like her
Mhm.
role in that, she was just, oh my god, so unhinged. And you had John Bernthal showing up for one episode. You had John Mulaney in a really good role, and then of course Better Call Saul himself. He's just in there. Perfect show, perfect season, everything. Carmi, Sid, all of the subplots with cousin, going and learning his craft,
Mhm.
and Richie, it just the way that people responded to him and how much different he was outside of the restaurant. It's just, and also when Marcus goes to train with Will Poulter, where they're
Yeah.
making the pastries, it was beautiful. Beautiful show. And I mentioned Olivia Colman about how I didn't care for her in Wonka, but that one scene she had with Richie, it it's a perfect season of television,
Yeah.
and that happens rarely. And I feel bad for season 3 because it's like, good luck, man. Like, really good luck. And because it's perfect. And the way that it ended with Richie and Carmi, and then the refrigerator incident and the opening, it's perfect television, man. I don't know.
Dude,
What else do you got? Because that's it.
that's it, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's the pinnacle of good TV watching.
Hmm.
And, it's how Jack Jeremy Allen White got for the role.
And then he's filming the Iron Claw, so you're like, damn, why is Carmi so ripped in this season? And I'm like, oh, he's playing Carrie Von Erich in the Iron Claw. That's right. I did think that was funny too.
I mean, not just him, like Will Poulter too, man. Just
Oh, that dude, what the hell? That's the geeky
guns
kid
out,
from We're
boy.
the Millers? Like,
Yeah,
bro is just yoked right now, man. He
because
even, and
that
like, even
pastry dough is heavy.
he's flipping that like dumbbells. But like, even his facial features look different. Like, he
Yeah,
just looks so different. Like, he looks like Adam Warlock, like he was in Guardians. Just, he got that Marvel training regimen in there,
yeah,
man. And yeah, they look great. But I don't know. Great show. Can't wait for season 3.
yeah. And I think they start. I follow Jeremy Allen White on Instagram. They start filming here in like 2 months.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Chris, time to turn off the TV, my friend. That's
Never.
before you do our closing announcements, I had been meaning to give a shout out to all of our guests that we had in 2023.
Oh yeah.
And when I was looking at all of them, it was the most guests that we had in a single calendar year of the podcast. And so, I wanted to give a shout out to, Matt Salgado, Brandon Sosa, my darling dear daughter Madison, Kevin Fuller,
Mad Dog.
Danielle from the No More Late Fees podcast. Dude,
Oh, I
their
love
shows,
that show, man.
it's so
Love
good.
that
They're
show.
blowing up over there, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy for all of their success. Donald, the voiceover king himself. Um, of course, and our new favorites, Jermaine and Mizanti from the Dead Bod
I
Pod.
can't believe I missed that.
You son
I
of a
know.
bitch.
We've
But
got to have
man,
him back on
we
this year
will have them back. And I
be
stay
on.
in constant contact with them. So it's just
Yeah.
like, I'll have to ask them to come back because it was such a fun show.
Let's
And then
do
of course
Valentine's
Alexi.
episode.
Say what?
Let's do a Valentine's episode.
Yeah, like My Bloody Valentine review or something.
Great.
And then of course your friend Alexi that you brought on, and
Great episode.
finally Erica, who has been on the show twice. And
Yeah.
she loves it. So she's like, anytime y'all want me on, we can work something out. I'm like, that's great because you're really good at it.
So same thing with her. Like, I really want to throw like all of our horror guests for a loop and go completely opposite of horror. I want to see what the other side of them could be. Like Jermaine and the Dead Body Bathtub. Okay, you love horror, this and that. What are your favorite rom-coms? What are your favorite, romantic movies
they won't
that
do the
don't
show.
have to
They're
deal
like,
with
not
death?
interested. I'm sure it'll embody some kind of, like, Judy Frankenstein. It's a love story. It's a rom com. Warm bodies. Like, these are the type of movies that they would probably pick, which is
Yeah.
hilarious. But yeah, Erica could come on and we could do like a challenge review because she loves the challenge. So she at least branches outside of the realm of horror, every
Yeah.
once in a while. So, but that's good. But yeah, but I wanted to give a quick shout out because I had been meaning to all of the great guests that we had last year. And
Mhm.
if you ever want us on your show, I mean, we could probably do so. I mean, we could carve out some of our time and our busy schedules of being, the Screen Addicts podcast to
Yeah.
do so. We're like,
With our
please,
Netflix, we'll have to check with our Netflix contract, but I think we got you. Don't
if it
worry.
allows us to branch out and
Yeah.
work on other shows. But
But
yeah, man.
man,
But that's it.
cool. Yeah, I'm with you. Cheers to everybody that was on the show. Loved it. Guys, thank you for sticking with us. Year 8 coming on strong. we're getting to the top 10 movies. I promise that episode is going to drop soon. But I hope tonight, if you hadn't watched some of the shows that we listed off in our top 10, hopefully we gave you something to go watch, keep you busy for maybe a couple days. We'll see. But since you're here, you're listening to us wherever you're listening to us, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, um, iHeartRadio, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you know when all of our new episodes are dropping. Again, we're going to try to be keeping up with this weekly like we have been doing this past year. So hit subscribe, and then also while you're here, go ahead and leave a review. 5 stars would be great, would be amazing. It just helps us get seen a little bit more around the podcast platforms, and then off to the social media land, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, any of those. Just look up the Screen Addicts podcast, give that a search, look for our little cover art, me and Steven's cartoony face, and follow us on there, and then go back on Facebook. We have an amazing group of people called the Screen Addicts Fanatics. It's a closed private group, so just go ahead and request. I don't think we've ever denied anybody, and we won't deny anybody being a part of the group unless you're a jerk.
I might.
If you're a jerk and you're just mean, we may kick you out, but we accept everybody, open arms. If you love the TV, if you love the movie theater, you are accepted into our little Screen Addicts Fanatics group. So we'd love for you to be there. So just go and give us a follow there. I think that's it, man.
Also, Chris, I had a note. The Google Podcasts is going away, and they're going to be converting over to YouTube Podcasts, which I think it's a seamless transition for us. So if you listen to us on Google Podcasts, you can head over to YouTube Podcast because I think they're going to just link everything over there anyway.
Yep.
But that'll be cool.
And the latest metrics that just came out, there are more podcasts being listened to on YouTube than any other platform.
Right.
So we're definitely there. So go check us out. Subscribe to us on there. And then while you're there, you get to actually see us, which I don't know would be a detriment to us, buddy.
That reminds me, I've got a biopsy appointment with my orbital surgeon, so he'll be fixing quasi pretty soon. So I'm excited about that.
There we go. But hey, and also quick plug. Hey, Steven, his new project. Go listen to it. You're gonna love it. Real Problems podcast with Steven, Cinema Steve Sosa. Great show. If you haven't caught any of the episodes, I think there's like 3 or 4 out, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm actually working on releasing a new one this week, and I'll give you a preview. It's The Exorcist. So if you're a fan of The Exorcist,
shit happened or what?
Oh, yes. You thought it was all on screen, my friend. Buckle up, because there was some crazy shit that happened.
Well, can't wait to hear it. Go and search that up. Real Problems, REEL Problems, and listen to some of the cool, awesome shit that goes on behind the scenes of the movies. It's crazy, guys. It is crazy, and you will love it. So, other than that, guys, I think that does it for us tonight. So, as for me, good night.
Adios, amigos.